Facebook and I saw a little comedy routine. There's a father and son that lip sync to various comedians. And one that they do a lot is Tim Hawkins, who's a Christian comedian. And this one really got me thinking. Teenage daughter goes with her family to the mall. She's supposed to meet her friends there to hang out and go shopping. And they're there too early. And she got, like teenage daughters get, a little whiny. And, my friends aren't here. And it's just, I can't go shopping. And it's just the worst. And her mom goes, yes, I agree. It's the worst. And then she goes, you remember those miners in Chile back a few years that were stuck in that cave-in for 2 months with no food, no water? I can just imagine one of them saying, you know, we're down here in the dark, and that's bad. And there's no food, and no water. And even the air is getting thin, and it's getting hard to breathe. And that's bad. But you know the worst is if you go to the mall and you have to wait for your friends to show up. We get so caught up in our own lives and in the problems we have, whether they're petty or whether they're large, we get so caught up in that. One of the things that Debbie and I noticed when we're in India is our brothers and sisters there are always happy. Always got a smile on their face. It doesn't matter if they're sick. It doesn't matter that they're poor. It doesn't matter that they're living in a country that the government actively hates them. They're happy. I only know one person who didn't smile. She was a grandmother, a widowed grandmother. That doesn't mean much to us because we have widows and they do just fine. Widows can survive pretty good in this country. In India, if you're a widow, you've lost everything. You don't have anything anymore. And she has to take care of her 2 grandchildren because their parents were drowned when they opened the floodgates of the dam and all of the coolie workers were sleeping on the banks of the river down below, hundreds of them, and killed them. And the water came up this high. And I'm not kidding because I stood and put my finger on the water level, miles away from the river. She's the only one that I saw was sad. I think I could understand why maybe she was sad. But the church took care of her. And some of the funds that we've sent to India took care of those kids. And we checked up on them. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that Joe should be here sometime in early June. It's already on the schedule. I was talking to him yesterday, so we got him coming in early June. Now, have you ever thought why some of the Christians in the poorest parts in the world are happy and we aren't? I think it's because they view their life through the lens of the Scriptures. They grew up in a culture where they were bound to a wheel of time. In the Hindu religion, you go through that wheel over and over again, being reincarnated. If you were good, you move up a step or two. If you were bad, you go back a step or two until you finally reach perfection. So they had no hope in either world. They truly were hopeless. But through the Scriptures, they found hope. They were looking at it through a bigger lens, through a lens that is God taking care of you, taking care of us. And sometimes I wonder, because I heard it saying over and over again, a parent shouldn't have to bury their child. You and I are the first generations that ever could say that. It has always been, you had a bunch of children because you needed them to help survive, and most of them didn't live. Not only that, you didn't live very long because you died of a disease that we can cure with washing our hands. And if your arm got infected, you know what they did? They cut it off. But you know what they didn't do? They didn't wash the saw. So when it got infected, guess what they did? Cut it off. Until you die. Sometimes we need to look at the world through reality and through the lens of the Scriptures and understand that, as the song says, this world is not my home. I'm just a passing through. I want to read some scriptures now. I want to start with Philippians 4, 4 through 9. The book of Philippians, fourth chapter. I'll start with verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. Wait a second. Wasn't Paul beheaded? Wasn't he thrown in prison? But he didn't say, rejoice when things are going good. Rejoice when things are just perfect. Always. Let your reasonableness be known to everyone. The Lord is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything. You mean I shouldn't be anxious about taxes? I shouldn't be anxious, afraid my car's going to break down. I shouldn't be anxious about the government. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Pray, believing that the Lord will answer. Maybe not in the way you want, but pray that the Lord, and He will take care of it in a way that is good, no matter what you think. And the next part of this verse is one of the reasons I'm bringing this up. Because you know what? From one point of view, you know what? If you're sad, if you don't have the joy of Christ in your life, well, why should I tell you, no, you know what? You need to rejoice. You need to do that. Because this next verse tells us why. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. If we don't understand that we need to pray to God about anything that bothers us and trust that He will take care of it and get that peace, we are easy prey to Satan. Satan can get us. That's how he comes into our Christian lives. How many people do you know that have left the church when disaster struck their lives? They didn't trust God to get them through those things. You're not the first person who lost a loved one. You're not the... And if you don't believe that, go read the book of Job. You know, understand that, yes, and I'm not putting it down, it hurts. There are things in this life that are minor and we make into major, but there are things in this life that are just bad. There are things that are bad, and I can't tell you that I've always handled things well. I got in trouble with the IRS, and I had a good reason for it, and they took my wages. Left me with less than $200. And I owed $1,000 child support. That's pretty bad. You know what I did? I prayed. For hours. Crying because there was absolutely no way out of this mess. There's no way. Can't do it. Found a way that they could take just a little bit, and a little bit, and then I went down and got a tax professional, and they ended up giving me a bunch of money back that I had paid. But what got me through was letting my wants and my needs known to Jesus, known to God, trusting that he would find a way. Now, the reason I said I prayed for hours is it took me hours and maybe days to actually trust him. You know what I mean? And sometimes you've got to pray, not just, Lord, help me. Sometimes you've got to get down on your knees and cry and pray until you believe that the Lord has heard you and is going to take care of it. And he will. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, this is not just a saying to put on your mirror. This is a way of looking at the world. How can you have joy and peace in this world? By thinking on what's good, what's right. If you dwell on what's bad with this world and what's happening to you in your life, you're not going to be happy. In the darkest time of your life, there is something good. I mean, it may just be that someday Jesus is coming back for you. That may be the only light you see at the end of the tunnel. But that's enough. Think on that. Think on the people that are praying for you. Think about that. Chapter Romans, verse 26. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weaknesses, for we do not know what to pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself intercedes. Believe it, even the bad works for good. The only way we can be happy is to look to see the world through the lens of the Scriptures. And if you're not, you need to become a Christian. Because if you're not a Christian, you have no hope. If you need to answer the invitation in a public way, we would ask that you come now, and as we stand in the
There's a fountain.